with Wesley and Will.
Welcome back to another episode of The Other Side. Now, moment. Are you sure you want to do this?
I am Spawn, and I've come to defend the honor of my franchise.
Alright, I guess we're gonna do this. Oh, real quick. Before this episode starts, I just want to let everyone know that I am a card-carrying hypocrite, so keep that in mind as we move forward. So, Spawn. We can't talk about Spawn without talking about Spawn's creator, Todd McFarlane, artistic megastar back in the 90s. Working for everything from Batman Year One, had a run on The Incredible Hulk from 1987 to 1988. Really hit his stride when he started working on Spider-Man.
He changed the spiderweb format. He made the spiderweb look different.
Yeah, not only did he make the web look different, but he was the one that really put Spider-Man in these really weird positions, making Spider-Man look very insect-like when he was swinging through or in different positions. He also sexed up Mary Jane quite a bit. And then there came Venom. Now, I personally, and I'm sure you agree, lean towards that he was co-creator, if not sole creator, of Venom.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the some similarities that I notice.
He also they started a Spider-Man series just for him. The first issue sold like record-breaking issues at the time. Of course, it was because there was multiple covers and everything. But they started that series specifically for him to use his creativity, and I think he only held on for 12 or so issues, and then he moved on anyways.
Yes, because, after years of working for other people and drawing other people's stories, he became frustrated that, creators, if you create a property or there was something you did that was really well, you had no control over those characters. It was all up to the editors and the writers and whatnot. And so with this frustration, he founded Image Comics with 6 other Marvel artists. It was the Great Exodus.
Yep.
And then, of course, Todd McFarlane's first comic out of the gate was Image Comics' biggest cash cow, Spawn. Arguably, probably one of the freshest, in fact, the term anti-hero, in my opinion. Yeah, I know you had Wolverine, and you had the Punisher, and you had other people in Marvel, but the term anti-hero to me was really coined and perfected with Spawn. He was a good guy that acted like a bad guy all the time. Spawn was Al Simmons, a former Black Ops soldier who was turned on by his employer, Jason Wynn, burned alive, and as he's in hell for spending, his entire career killing people, he makes a deal with Malebolgia, ruler of the 8th Circle of Hell, and is returned to Earth 5 years later as the Hellspawn. His job to lead the Devil's Army to Heaven's Gates and burn them down. And how he does that is by sending evil souls to hell. That's what made Spawn such a good character to me, was even when he tried to do right, he ended up serving his master anyway. It made for a very compelling story.
But I made that deal to reunite with my wife.
Yes.
I did it for love.
Yes. And when he returns, his wife is married to his former best friend, Terry Fitzgerald, and they have a child that Al couldn't give her. Not to mention that Spawn is haunted by a psychotic clown known as the Violator. It's kind of his handler on Earth. It was a great story, spawned over, many years, did offshoots of the comic, The Curse of Spawn, and then in 1997, we got the animated series on HBO. And holy crap, what a cartoon. I remember it as clear as day. I would stay up late in the summertime to watch this cartoon because I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, it was edgy, it was dark, it was violent, and of course, Spawn was voiced by Keith David. You couldn't go wrong with that mixture. It was a great cartoon. So I was so excited when I heard Spawn movie. There's gonna be a Spawn movie.
Yes!
I couldn't believe it. After how amazing and revolutionary the cartoon was to me, I could not wait for this movie.
With even a soundtrack that had Marilyn Manson on it. It was a badass. Metallica was on it. The soundtrack, the movie was as good as the soundtrack was.
Oh my god! If the movie was half as good as the cartoon, this movie was gonna rock. And I'll never forget, I remember it clear as day. I was in Virginia, went to the theater by myself, was in there, I had my popcorn, I had my drink, getting ready. Spawn. Advertised as the special effects event of the year, which I didn't really understand. I mean, that's your selling point, but whatever. But I was excited. And then that movie started.
To sell it.
What?
They had to say something to sell it.
But then that movie started, and the crushing disappointment I felt as that movie went on, I honestly can't put into words because I was a huge fan of this character. And this, to me, was like watching this character get bitch slapped by his own creator. Because this wasn't Spawn. This was a family-friendly Spawn, a neutered Spawn, a Spawn that had a PG-13 rating despite the fact that McFarlane had complete creative control.
But John Leguizamo did a great job.
John Leguizamo, I was getting to that. John Leguizamo was the one saving grace of this movie.
What is this?
This is where old folks go after Florida, son. What is that you say? Can I dig up my body now? Why, certainly. Of course you can. And if you strike oil, half of it is mine. Start digging.
Perfect clown.
Pitch perfect casting, even though, and he said this day that his back hurt and his legs hurt from squatting down to be that short, in that bodysuit, but that was his dedication. His lines were perfect, and Eddie had a script that was, like the damn comics that existed. That character would have been even better. But it was a neutered movie that the special effects were just horrible. I mean, it was CGI in the, nobody got it as good as Jurassic Park. They all tried at that time, but nobody quite nailed it. The action scenes, I said it before in our top 10 worst superhero movies. If you're epileptic, don't watch the fight between Spawn and Violator and Cogliostro in hell, because it's gonna set you off. I can't even tell what's happening when I watch that scene. It was disappointing. It was horrible. And what made it worse was Todd McFarlane's former employer, Marvel, showed him up a year later when they released Blade in August. As played by Wesley Snipes, and Blade was a character that I didn't know anything about him. I knew he teamed up with Spider-Man a couple of times, that was about it, but I didn't know anything about him, and that movie kicked ass. And it was an R-rated superhero movie, and in my opinion, it's the reason we had Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the current state of superhero movies. Blade, I think, legitimized the superhero movie. Said, you can make this, and you can do it R-rated. Mm-hmm. And it can be done well.
Can Spawn be rebooted? And would you be for a reboot? Because I know you hate reboots.
I do hate reboots. But this is one. But this is one that I'm all for. I'm all for it because I don't think there was a first one. The movie I saw wasn't Spawn. His name was Spawn, the guy's name was Al Simmons, Violator was in it, but that was so far removed from Spawn. In fact, it was hypocrisy at its highest. I'm a card-carrying hypocrite, but I distinctly remember, an interview with Todd McFarlane where he said why he went with HBO to do his cartoon instead of ABC or NBC or CBS, because Spawn was hot. He was the hottest superhero out there. And that's not a play on the burned skin. I'm really sorry about that. But Spawn was hot. Everybody wanted a piece of him. He didn't go with those other studios because they wanted to do a family-friendly Saturday morning cartoon. And he even joked, they wanted to give, Spawn a dog. And he's got a fucking dog in the movie. I mean, I don't know if that was him being funny or trying to be funny or just complete sellout. I'm not sure what motivated it. I believe he's an artistic guy. I believe he has integrity. This movie, though, was just a pile of crap, and I would be all for a real Spawn movie. Now, if it's fear of heaven and hell, you don't want to discuss that, who cares? Do it.
Constantine does it.
Constantine did it. Didn't have a problem. A lot of movies have done it. So if maybe that was a fear then.
This is the reboot that I want to see more than anything that Hollywood will reboot.
Yes.
So Todd, quit buying expensive baseballs. Quit making fucking toys. And get your ass to the writing table.
Yes.
Write a script.
Especially since he said that the Spawn reboot...
Bring me back!
Especially since he said the Spawn reboot will be coming all the way back in 2001.
Yeah.
That's 14 years ago. This is a character that needs a reboot.
Now, Todd, you watch this episode, and you cast me as Spawn because I look effing cool. Time for trivia.
Yes, trivia time! Speaking of Todd McFarlane and Marvel Comics, and Marvel Studios, owned by Disney, we've got The Avengers 2.
You can win it if you have the right answer.
To our trivia question.
You have to
Spawn, what is
subscribe.
their trivia question? First, give them the rules.
Subscribe. Be the first one to post the correct answer in the comments. And then you have to message me your address so I can send it to you. Anyways. Out of all the characters in the Spawn comic books, one of them has made it to Marvel Comics. Which Spawn character is now in Marvel Comics?
This is the other side. He's Spawn.